So let's talk about the reasons why you should buy a home. Now, as a first-time buyer, if you're ever, you're thinking getting into the market, why should you buy a home? What are the reasons to buy a home? Especially in Vancouver and Metro Vancouver where prices are so high, is it still worth getting into the market? Should I get into the market? And why should I do that? I mean, everybody tells you it's a good idea to get into the market, but why? And those are the questions that you have to answer. And hopefully I can help you with this video answer those questions of why you should still buy a home even with today's crazy prices. But it's still worth to buy a home. It's the right financial decision for your life in the long run, and it's proven time after time. The most wealthiest people that you'll meet tend to have real estate. A lot of them started with real estate, and they've been able to accumulate wealth over time. Now, the important thing there is understanding that it's over time. It's not done. You buy something, you sell it next month, you're a millionaire. No. Most people that make money in real estate are people that buy, keep real estate, and over long periods of time, they will do financially well with that investment. So number one thing though to look at is when you're a renter, you're very limited to what you can do with your property. Apart from paying the rent every month and having access to the space to live in, that's as much as you can pretty much do with the property. You might be able to paint a wall here and there if you get permission from your landlord, but there's not much else you can do. So the number one thing is pride of ownership. This is your home. It's your castle. You can do whatever you want with it. You can paint the wall purple, another one red, and put a unicorn in the middle if you want. You own the space. It is your home. You can do whatever you want in the home. So right off the bat, if you're somebody that enjoys music or playing music, painting, and you want to paint a window, many things like this. It's your home. You can do whatever you want with the space. So just having that availability to you is something of a lot of advantage compared to renting a home. But I would say the most important thing over time is appreciation. Now, most properties will appreciate over time. It's been proven, the year after year. You'll have, years where property go up 2-3%. There'll be years where they go down a couple percent. But overall, if you're able to buy a property and keep it anywhere between 5 to 7 years, I guarantee that you will be making money, or you will be much better. Prices should be higher than when you bought that home. So there's appreciation that is built over time. There's also equity that you build in the home. So as you start paying your mortgage down, you'll start to accumulate equity and accumulate money in that house. Now, one of the biggest advantages as well are taxes. Now, when you buy your first property and it's your primary residence, there is no other investment that you can do where you will not be paying high amount of tax. If you go out there and you work for a year and do $100,000, you're going to be paying anywhere between 20 to 30% on the money that you earn. Now, with your primary residence, imagine you buy a home today for $500,000. In 7 years down the road, this house is now worth $1 million. So you've built about, let's say, $500 in it's increased in value. And if you sold today, let's say you sell it exactly $500,000, and you bought 500, you sell it $1 million, you make $500,000 gain plus everything else that's been paid down off your mortgage. Let's say you're getting a check back for about $800,000. Those $800,000 or $700,000 or whatever you get when you sell the property is tax-free if it's your primary residence. So listen to that. That's $700,000 or $600,000, whatever amount is, tax-free that you get to keep to invest in whatever else you want, either to buy another property, to invest it in stocks, or whatever you want to invest it in. That's tax-free money. So no other investment. And for most Canadians, or for most people, buying a home will be their largest investment. It will be tax-free. So keep that in mind. No capital gains on your primary property. Now, mortgage reduction is another big one. So think about it. You're getting a mortgage for $500,000. Over 7 years, you'll be paying down that mortgage, which will be very comparable to what today's rents are, maybe a little bit more. Let's say 5 to 10% more than if you were to go rent right now a 5-bedroom house in Vancouver. It's costing you about $3,000, $4,000. Your mortgage payment is probably going to be around that same amount, maybe a little bit more. However, over time you'll be paying that mortgage down. So your mortgage will start to come down. So you don't owe as much money anymore. So your payment starts to reduce. Now you tell me, as a renter, when have your rent come down? How many times has your rent come down over the last 5 years? I bet it's never come down. And if it has, it's probably because there's probably something really wrong in that rental. But rents have only increased over time. So you're not getting a reduction on your payment. You're continue paying the same amount or more money, and you're seeing no reduction at all. It's a rat race. You just keep running that treadmill and paying those rents every month. So if you can afford it, if you can buy a place, it's the right thing to do. Now let's talk about equity. So as you start paying those monthly payments, you start building equity in your house. So all of a sudden you have a pretty nice big piggy bank. Now what can you do with that piggy bank? Let's say another investment opportunity comes into play in your life. Let's say somebody wants you to invest in a business, or you want to invest in stocks, or you see another property that you want to buy. You can use the equity from your house to be able to purchase that other investment opportunity. So you can grab 200,000, 100,000 from your house and use it towards buying another property or investing into something else. So the availability to have that equity fund in your house is something that you can take a lot of advantage in. So something to really keep in mind. Now, another thing you can do is income on your property. Now, as a rental, you may be able to, your landlord may allow you to rent a part of the house or basement suite. But if it's yours, you can guarantee you can do whatever you want with it. There are people that make income, very good income, just off renting parts of their house. Being a basement suite, being a laneway house, being bedrooms. I mean, there's people that go on holidays that I meet that will, have a home, and they'll all of a sudden, I want to go and travel, and they'll go to India, or they'll go to, Mexico, or wherever they want to go, and they will just rent out their place. They'll collect whatever amount of money, and many times they'll still have money for themselves to spend wherever they're visiting or wherever they plan to live. So having the ability to create income off your property that you own is a huge advantage, and not a lot of investments will allow you to do that without being heavily invested in it. So keep that in mind. Ability to gain income is something that is huge. Now, over time, as you build income and you bring down the mortgage payment, well, essentially what you're creating is a retirement for yourself. So 10 years, 20 years down the road, you would think that property's been paid off. You've also collected income on it. You've invested in other things with that income, and now it's time to retire. So you'll have a nice big piggy bank that effortlessly, or with a lot of work too, but you're doing the same effort when you're paying your rent as when you're paying your mortgage. So you got to live somewhere. So just by the fact that you've been living in the home that you own and been renting maybe a space out or doing different things with it, you've built up a very nice retirement for yourself over the years. So guys, I can't stress it enough. I hear people say, I'll never be able to own. I've just decided not to own. And unfortunately, that's becoming something I hear a lot more nowadays in Vancouver. And that's because the prices are high. And a lot of people just say, oh, you know what, forget it. I'm not gonna buy anymore. And I hear millennials just giving up and not wanting to own a property anymore. Guys, don't give up. Don't give up. That mindset of, I won't be able to own anymore. We have to stop thinking like that. The people that want to buy a property will make it happen. You will find ways to make it happen. And it's that mentality that you have to get yourself into. I met a couple of guys the other day. They were clients of mine, and we started talking. They became clients afterwards. It was two young guys. They're 23 years old. They bought a place 4 years ago together. So they were, just about turning 19. They got together. So they bought a place. They owned it for about 4 years together. Neither of them could afford a place on their own when they first started, but they decided to join up ventures. They weren't married, they weren't a couple. They were just two guys that decided, hey, we want to get into the market. What do we need to do to get into the market? And they realized that if they bought a place together, they were going to be roommates anyway. They could buy a place together and get in the market. They were able to ride the market for the last 4 years or so, and they were able to eventually sell the home, make quite a bit of profit between each of them, and now they can both go and buy whatever they wanted to, if they wanted to be on their own, and go buy a house on their own, or a condo, or whatever they wanted to do, not on their own. So there are ways of making this work. I see people that have business partners. They'll get together. Hey, listen, you have equity. What can we invest together? What can we do? You'll have people that create partnership with their parents or family member to be able to buy a place. It's just finding the way, to buy that home. How can you do it? And doing it, doing it. Okay, how much money do I need? Okay, well, I need $30,000. And how long is it going to take me to get $30,000 to? Well, it's going to take me a year, or it's going to take me a year and a half. And now I can get, this other person has another $30,000. Now we can combine them together and we can get into the market. And unfortunately, guys, it's not always going to be a Vancouver home or a downtown Vancouver condo. It might be a very good condo in Coquitlam, or a very good home in Port Moody. These are great areas to live in, where you can really enjoy the lifestyle, have a nice place to live, build up equity over time, and then do the jump into something else you like. Maybe you want to move to Vancouver. Maybe you just love living in Port Moody or Coquitlam or whatever the case is, and you'll stay there. But you know what? You've been in the game, and it's all about being in the game. There's a good saying there by Wayne Gretzky: you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And that that's true. If you don't try things, and if you're not taking shot at things, you're basically don't have an opportunity to win. And it's important to get away from that mentality that it's not possible anymore to buy a place. And I hear all the time, oh, I've just forgotten I'm not going to buy anything anymore. I'm going to blow out my savings on materialistic things, right? Do you really need that iPhone every year? For how long has the iPhone been around? 15 years or so, or 10 years ago? $1,000 every time you buy a new iPhone. What would have happened if you would have invested that? You would have saved that money. You probably would have that down payment now. So, guy, this is just an example, right? The iPhone thing is just one thing. It's just an example of it's about taking opportunities and reinvesting what you're making into something a bit more proactive and getting into the market. So, I hope that mentality will change. I think it's parents that should help their kids understand. Hey, listen, you can do it. How can you make this happen? And make it work. People, every time you hear somebody tell you, oh, you know what, it's over, I'm never gonna buy a place. You got to tell them, hey, listen, yes, you can. You just have to find a way. I did it, or go read a couple books, see how you can do it. You're not the first guy complaining about affordability. So, I think that's everything for today. I hope that you got some good information off this video. Please comment below. I always like to hear, what are your thoughts? What do you think? Is it possible? Is it mindset, or is it all lost now and nobody will be able to buy? Because I know people are buying. I mean, I see them every week. I meet new people that have found a way to buy, and they're buying property. And you know what? They're in the game. In 10 years from now, they're going to be in a much better position. The unfortunate part, I've also met people that I met 10 years ago that were waiting for a bubble to burst, and were waiting for the opportunity to buy. And guess what? They never did. And as they waited, prices started to increase. And now it's at a point where, they can still do it, but it's going to cost them a lot more to do it. So if they would have gone for it when they had the opportunity, they would be in a better position. So, take those shots, guys. Take those shots. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So this is the one thing, when you have the opportunity, try and do it. If you can't do it right now, how can I do it? Find a way, make a plan, make it happen. Talk to the right people to make it happen. I've met people that have bought houses with zero down payment. They've found a way to make it work. They've gathered the opportunity, either with family or whatever the case may be, and they made it happen. So, let me know what your thoughts are. How do you think you can afford a place? How can, comment below, some ideas of how you can get into the market and be creative to make it work.